In part one, you learned about the why of the American War for Independence and that New York was a crucial part of this effort. Since the money, the heart and soul of commerce, was centered in New York City, that's where the British showed up in the summer of 1776. After General Washington read the Declaration of Independence to his troops, he began organizing the army for the coming British attacks. It was inevitable. The Brits brought their best men to colonial America. The British Army was made up of both regulars, and that's what they called their soldiers back then, regulars, and mercenaries. The regulars were well trained and good at the game of war. The mercenaries they brought were the Hessians. The Hessians were also well trained and good at the game of war. There were also loyal Americans, and that's something we don't like to think about in today's world, but yes, there were American colonialists that wanted to stay and be a part of the British Empire. They, of course, fought on the British side. And the Americans? The Americans, for most part, were amateurs. There were some professional soldiers among the American troops, but mostly we're looking at shopkeepers and farmers who volunteered to fight because they believed in an independent America. This belief was based on solid evidence that the Americans could make a go of it on their own. The men who joined the Continental Army knew how to use their weapons. Many of them hunted regularly, or they used their weapons to kill predators that would be after, let's say, their sheep. However, using those weapons to kill another human being, well, that would take a fire in the belly for independence. War is kill or be killed. Add to this mix the better weapons that the regulars had, like the bayonet. The Continental Army is disorganized, lacks intel on British troop movements, and is easily confused by British naval strategies to distract the Americans whilst the regulars flanked their positions. The war begins in earnest with the Battle of Long Island. This battle took place on August 27. America lost. This was followed by the loss of New York City to the British on September 16. When a young man, Nathan Hale, attempted to spy on the British by going undercover, he was quickly found out and executed on September 24th. The Battle of White Plains was fought and lost on October 28th. Again, when Americans attempted to spy on the enemy, they were caught. On November 16, the worst disaster of all took place: the fall of Fort Washington. This was a horrible event observed by General Washington, who was on the New Jersey side of the river. From the heights of the Palisades, Washington witnessed the disaster take place as American soldiers were overrun by British regulars, and many of them killed and the rest taken prisoner. It is said that Washington cried. What did this mean? We were losing the war. What happened next? What was left of the Continental Army hightailed it across New Jersey. After their win, the British regulars and Hessians then crossed the Hudson River and hiked up the Palisades, hoisting their cannon up the cliff sides, and then went chasing after the Continentals. When Washington's troops reached the Delaware River, they took every boat they could find and used them to cross. Thinking ahead, Washington took any boats they didn't need and had them hidden away. Remember that. The Brits arrived in Princeton and completely took over that town. They threw prisoners into the basement of the Princeton University building. The Hessians went on to Trenton and took over that town as well as other spots along the Delaware River. Their purpose was to keep the Continental Army in Pennsylvania and not let them cross over into New Jersey. The British think, hey, this war is over. General Howe, who is in charge of the British forces in the colony, he sets up his headquarters, a very plush headquarters in New York City. He will winter there. He will play cards during the day and go to the theater at night. He has a mistress with him. Life is good for General Howe. General Cornwallis, the second in command, returns to New York from Princeton and prepares to leave for London. His wife is sick and he wants to be home to be with her. The British plan is to winter in place and in the spring mop up whatever is left of the Continental Army. General Washington, however, had a different plan.